It seems like Bernie Sanders is on a roll yet again, spreading his magical fairy tales on corporate America. The man is just economically illiterate. He didn't get his first job until he turned 40. Now he's arguing that UAW workers should get higher pay and work less hours. But you're not going to believe why he says it. We're going to go over his ideas about how utopia should work and point out why there is no such thing as utopia. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back. So Bernie here, Senator Bernie Sanders, communist, Vermont, had some kind words for the striking auto workers, stating that they are the victims of, wait for it, corporate greed. But folks, let's be a little more clear here. Isn't it in reality more government greed? You see, a significant portion of your salary ends up in the government's pocket. Corporations, most of them anyway, pay a livable wage. But by the time the local, state, and federal government gets done forcefully taking from your paycheck, you're no longer having a livable wage. Yet old Bernie wants you to point fingers at your employer instead. Quite convenient, isn't it? Deflecting from the real culprit, the government squandering your hard-earned money on vote bait projects. Now, he makes his grand appearance on CNN's State of the Union where Very Jake Tapper listens to him and asks him a couple of questions. And he tries to paint this picture of an America suffering under the weight of these evil corporations. Meanwhile, corporations are what employ people, right? But Bernie brings up the age-old argument of CEOs earning more than the average worker, right? That sounded more like Terminator, didn't it? Yes, we know, Bernie, you've told this story 1,000 times. It's like he believes running a multi-million-dollar company is the same as clocking in a 9-to-5 job. What a bonehead. All right, so now we're going to give a listen to Bernie and some of his brilliant ideas.
This now independent senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders, who rallied with workers on the picket line Friday. Senator Sanders, Vice President Pence was on the show earlier. He said, when I asked him about the fact that the CEOs make, multiples more than their average workers, 362 times more.
Now, do you believe that Jake Tapper makes about 362 times more than the gaff guy or person that does his makeup? I think so.
In the case of Ford, I said, do you think that's fair? He said, CEO pay is up to free enterprise. It's up to shareholders, not the government. What's your response?
There you go.
No, I strongly disagree. I think what's going on in America today in terms of income and wealth inequality, the fact that CEOs are now making 400 times more than their average worker, the fact that we have 3 people on top who own more wealth than the bottom half of America, the fact that during the last 50 years, the weekly wages of the average American worker are lower today.
Bullshit. What about the Trump years, Bernie? You notice how he says 50 years, and then he says, are lower today, and he completely skips the Trump years. During the Trump years, we had nearly full employment. We had corporations that were given bonuses to their employees because they could afford it, because Trump lowered taxes across the board. Even millionaires like Bernie got a tax break, right? He doesn't want to talk about that because he's full of shit. He's a communist.
Than they were back then speaks to the anger that the American people are feeling and what this strike is about.
He doesn't like it that when you take a job, the company says, okay, so we're going to pay you this amount for you to do this work. And you agreed to it. Now that you're in a union, you think that agreement shouldn't work anymore. You should be able to demand more money because the company made more money. That's not how it works. And Bernie's a communist, so he doesn't understand it. All right, so here we are where Bernie is going to argue for a 4-day work week, which is economically ridiculous on the face of it.
But first, I want to ask you, this push from the UAW for a 4-day work week, is that a negotiating tactic, or do you see that as the future of labor in the U.S., a 4-day work week?
Well, I'll tell you what I think, and thanks for raising that question, Jake. We are looking at an explosion in this country of artificial intelligence and robotics. And that means that the average worker is going to be much more productive. Worker productivity is going to increase significantly. The question as a nation that we have got to ask ourselves is who is going to benefit from that increased productivity.
Everybody, you dumbass. Everybody's going to benefit from increased productivity. The company will grow if it's more productive. That's what you're supposed to do.
Is all of that new income and wealth being created by worker productivity going to go to the people on top, or are workers going to benefit?
So let me get this straight. So the company invests in AI. The workers didn't invest jack shit, okay? The company invested its money into developing AI to allow the workers to be more productive. And this boobus American thinks that the workers should benefit from the AI's work? Isn't that slavery?
So right now, in my view, I happen to believe that as a nation, we should begin a serious discussion, and the UAW is doing that, about substantially lowering the work week. People in America are stressed out for a dozen different reasons.
And all dozen are because of schlubs like you.
And that's one of the reasons why life expectancy in our country is actually in decline. People are overwhelmed. They got to take care of their kids. They got to worry about healthcare.
They got to worry about being locked down again and having their jobs taken away from them by pricks like you, Bernie, by your party. That's what they got to worry about. They got to worry about vaccine mandates. They got to worry about all that kind of crap. They're also worried about 8 million illegals coming over the border and being allowed to roam around the country over the last 3 years. They're also worried about paying $4 on up for a gallon of gasoline in this country. They're also worried about getting us into a war with Russia. There's a lot of things that we have to worry about that are genuinely created by DC Democrats like you.
They got to worry about housing. They're worried. It seems to me that if new technology is going to make us a more productive society, the benefit should go to the workers.
Wrong. The benefit should go to the company because the company's the one that came up with the idea to create AI to help them become more productive. And the company, not the workers, put the money out. Now, if the workers put the money out, then yeah, maybe they'd have an argument there, but they didn't.
And it would be an extraordinary thing to see people have more time to be able to spend with their kids.
This is really something what these communists do. Well, first of all, it's always about the children, right? But what these communists do all the time is they try to make an argument that, well, these evil corporate greedy guys, they just want everything. Well, bullshit, okay? A CEO who makes $29 million a year is because he is worth $29 million a year. That CEO brought in record profits for the company that other CEOs might not have.
Their families to be able to do more in cultural activities, get a better education.
Do you believe this shit? More in cultural activities. How about you don't lock us down again for the 2024 election, Bernie? How about that? That's a good start. AI will soon replace most, if not all, of those $17 an hour auto worker jobs completely. Remember in Boston when McDonald's workers started listening to the likes of Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez when they told them that they deserve $15 an hour for taking orders? $15 an hour for the minimum wage. You remember that? And McDonald's came back and said, okay, so here's what we did. And they created what was termed RoboBurger. It was a robot screen that took your order. They no longer needed that $15 an hour kid to take somebody's order. Now, the difference between AI and human workers is that AI doesn't complain. It doesn't get sick and have to stay home. It doesn't go on vacations. It doesn't need maternity leave. It doesn't do drugs or drink alcohol while on the job. And it's willing to work overtime for no pay. Now, we already have a track record on reducing government involvement in companies is better for everyone except the government. Actually, it's better for the government as well, but that's another video. The fact of the matter is, under the Trump years, the Republicans reduced taxes across the board for corporations and for individuals. They also reduced a lot of the regulations that were job-killing regulations. Guys like Bernie want corporations to spend more money, but then he wants to kill them in regulations. And he also supports the union that wants to kill the company with wages and regulations and benefits. What happened to the steel industry? All right. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Share our videos with like-minded friends who want to stay informed with what's really going on. like Bernie here bullshitting you about the UAW strike. Stay informed, stay vigilant. Always remember to read between the lines and the lies. Thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.
I've been down so long that my mind can't get no rest. No, I've been down.